This is the Fight Faction Boxing Podcast with Aiden Thomas and Dean Griffiths.
Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of the Fight Faction Boxing Podcast. Just a brief bit of news before we get to the previews of the big fight this weekend. Obviously, since we were on air last time, Manny Pacquiao has gone and officially retired, which I thought he did already.
The only thing is, have he been kicked out of his party? I've heard some sort of political news.
This is one of those retirements. Like we said last week or the week before, even if he does become president, you can only hold that office for 6 years.
Right.
So we're still going to see a Roberto Duran podgy version of Manny Pacquiao in his 50s. So I think we should, obviously there's going to be fallout from this weekend's boxing, but we got to do like a retrospective on Manny Pacquiao, because I really feel like I'm so glad that we got to see the beginning and end. We got to be alive during this amazing sort of run. So
Yeah,
I'd like to deep
sure.
dive it at some point. He deserves it. Another retirement before we come online. Another one which I thought had already happened. David Price had just announced his retirement, but I figured the former heavyweight Olympic bronze medalist he was, wasn't he?
Yeah,
He's
bronze
just
medal.
retired. So I thought he did anyway. I thought he was made to retire.
After you lose domestically a couple of times, I think that's it. And I think he's always trying to be like one fight away from a world title. But obviously, when you get beaten by Povetkin and then Chisora, it's probably no going back, is it?
It's a shame, isn't it? Because he did have amazing potential and he did the right thing. He took on a risky American at like a grow-in sort of fight, and maybe he shouldn't have gone on after the immediate rematch.
No,
He
it's the
did seem
downfall
to
of a lot of guys, isn't it?
Yeah. I think, what was his name? Thornton? Was it Tony Thornton?
Yeah, Tony Thornton.
Yeah, once he cracked his chin, it never recovered, did it? So then there was last week we had Chris Eubank. I was all ready to start following Chris Eubank's fight on 5 Live, and then I found out he didn't have a fight. But I heard an interesting stat, and I was going to text it to you. But then I thought, I'll tell you in the pod. Chris Eubank Jr. is more or less the same age now his dad was when his dad retired.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, they all retired really, didn't they? Ben Eubank and Nassim Hamid.
They seemed old. Eubank seemed old and weary and battered, and he seemed like a veteran. And yet he'd done all those title defenses, all those fights, and even his losses. He'd done them all by the time he was his son's age now, and his son hasn't even really started his career.
No, there's too much posturing on these like social media sites, and they're all guilty of it and fighting twice. I looked at Joe Lewis's record earlier on, and he had more fights in the wartime than any of our boxers today, fighting like 4 or 5 years.
That's crazy. Yes.
Francisco Estrada and Chocolatito, Roman Gonzalez. The winner of that fight has been targeted by WBC flyweight champion Julio Cesar Martinez. So I would have preferred to see Martinez fight Junto Nakatani, who's just recently fought in the States. So there's two potentially good matchups there. But obviously Martinez wants to target the winner of Super Flyweight title. So I'm thinking that's about the only news I've seen this week.
Yeah, it's been very quiet.
All the rest is the down to the build up for the Wilder and Fury fight.
I either read it or heard it somewhere that, remember the WBC lightweight or light welterweight champion Miguel Angel Gonzalez?
Yep.
He's living on the streets now
That's unbelievable.
In Mexico, having succumbed to various addictions. And apparently Julio Cesar Chavez reached out to try and help him, and he said no, rather be homeless. And
that's weird.
He lost millions apparently.
Yeah, because he was a dominant lightweight champion, wasn't he, for a while?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he was. Because I thought he'd beat Oscar De La Hoya when they were matched up, because I thought it was a good, tough test at least for Oscar De La Hoya.
Yeah, that's sad news.
It's bad, isn't it? Yeah.
He was actually a tough fight like that. You expect a good ending as well.
No, it's sad. Yeah, I don't know where I got that information from. It was somewhere, but I can't find it when I was looking. When I was looking for it earlier, I couldn't find it, but someone put it out there. So
right, up next is the results from the weekend. Right, obviously, you were looking forward to Chris Eubanks' fight. Did you watch the Sky Bill on Saturday?
No, I'm surprised they went ahead with it. I guess they had to.
I go first of all to Italy on Friday because Matchroom put out the card in Italy, and it did impress. The card itself was very competitive. All the fights were good. No complaints. Obviously, I've only seen one or two of those boxes before. So I'll start off with at the welterweight, Nicholas Esposito moved to 15 a 10-round points win against Emmanuel Cavalucci for the Italian welterweight title. This guy looked quite a good fighter, and I think he's obviously work in progress. I can see why Matchroom signed him up. Quite a good boxer. And you know, for the life of me, I can't even remember all the fight. I did watch it myself, but he was on about 8 o'clock, I think it was. But you haven't got really real KO power, but he showed a good boxing brain to pull off a win. I'm quite impressed. Francesco Patera, the former European champion, moved to 25 wins and 3 losses against Davis Bochero, also a European champion. Bad Cats basically halted the fight. Bochero was a mess after 3 rounds and unable to continue. And topping the bill was Daniel Scardina, 19-0, with a 1 retirement, 4 rounds over Jürgen Doberstein. This is for the WBO Intercontinental Super Midweight title, which was vacant. This guy Scardina, he looks like a good rugged fighter at 168. Obviously a while away from a world title fight, but this was a good fight. He showed how strong he was in this fight, and Doberstein gave it a good go, and he sort of, how can I say, he went half 11 in the last round, trying to make a dent in his opponent, and then when it didn't work, he pulled himself out. So at least he had a crack at the tough man, as it were. So Daniel Scardina, I think, obviously work in progress again, but a good fan fighter there. So Matchroom's done well there to sign these guys. Quite enjoy Bill, and probably more the same to follow. So then, obviously going back to the Sky Bill on Saturday, Chris Eubanks opponent pulled out. I'm not exactly sure why. Do you know why?
Failed. All I heard was that he failed a medical. I don't know why or how, but he was a late replacement himself, wasn't he?
Yeah.
You'd have thought he would have had a medical. It must have been something since he arrived in the country, because you'd assumed he'd have had a medical when he took the fight.
Yeah, to come over from wherever he came from.
Yeah.
Just don't jump on a. Say that you got to be COVID ready when you're on a plane, so you must be at least he passed his COVID test.
Yeah, and I seen Chris Eubanks Jr. saying, "Oh, I'm absolutely gutted, I'm not fighting," and I was thinking, "Are you? Because you don't seem like the type of fighter who actually wants to fight anyway."
Yeah,
You like the lifestyle,
sort of the limelight, and the attention.
So, but he's going to be fighting again in about 2 weeks, isn't he? So
yeah, he did say that, and I seen an interview with it was Fight Hype on YouTube, Radio Raheem, and he did say, you know, switching opponents now last minute could be a bad thing, but obviously he's going to be ready. But you pretty much know they're not going to get a beast to put in the opposite corner at 2 weeks' notice.
He never switched it out with a Golovkin, did he?
That was Mickey Duff's idea, wasn't it? Just to bring in a better opponent and give his prospect a beating. It happened a couple of times with people like Mark Haler. He didn't care. I think the show must go on.
That's what I was thinking.
So, right, top the bill on the Sky card, David Avanesian, 1 TKO 2, Liam Taylor was going in 23 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw for the European weight title. Taylor was down once in the first round, staggering around the place, and then the referee mercifully pulled him out in the TKO round 2. Avanesian now looking forward to possibly a fight with Jordanis Ugas. He's at that level, so there's no point in fighting Conor Ben. He's got to go probably straight for the world title now. He's fought enough of these sort of prospects.
Yeah, I was looking forward to seeing this guy because I was surprised that we beat up Josh Kelly. So I'm glad that it wasn't just he rose to that moment and that he's continuing.
He's beaten Shane Mosley as well in the past.
Yeah.
One of the fight was Richard Riekporth, moved to 12-0 at cruiserweight against Krzysztof Wadowski. It was a points win. Wadowski was down in the 8th round from a massive right hand. I don't know if this guy's got power or not. Quite a close fight, or competitive fight, I should say. So they say this guy's going to be obviously the future for world title fights, but I think he needs a lot more. A couple of cruiserweights back, a couple of years back, when Johnny Nelson was boxing, it was a couple of them.
Yeah.
Was it Derek Angle was one of them?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Terry Dunstan. He's like that sort of body of work. The other fights I didn't catch on this card. I did see the female fight. That's about it. Joe Pigford was on the undercard, moved to 18. I didn't see that fight. I'd like to catch up with his progress. I hope he's got a better defense than he used to have. And Michael Lawal moved to 14-0 against Benoit Huber. TKO 3. That's probably all the action I had in the weekend.
Yeah.
I'll do a quick check and no, that's it. That's all the fights I watched.
Let's get to the Tyson.
Watch the Argentinian builds, but time sort of escaped me.
Never enough time in the day.
Up next is the schedule for the weekend and the big fight action. So where do you want to go first?
Let's go straight to the undercard then, Aid. You've got a couple of good fights on this card, a couple of good heavyweight contender press prospect fights, but I'm very interested in seeing how Jared Anderson looks. He's fighting Vladimir Tereshkin. And now
I'm very interested in seeing how Vladimir Tereshkin looks.
Yeah, he's 22, I know, with 1 draw. Who is this guy? Why is Jared Anderson fighting someone with such a... Is that a padded reckon?
I don't know, because obviously they don't normally want to fetch people who might give you a nasty test. Remember the shock we saw a couple of years back with Daniel Jacobs, and he put him in with an unknown.
No,
and he lost that fight in 5 rounds, and he can't think who he was now.
Well, the middleweight Jacobs.
Yeah, remember we watched the WBO belt.
I don't recall.
Lost TKO 5. It was what's his name? Sergi something.
Don't know.
We watched it, looked at the ring walk for Daniel Jacobs, and he thought, right, this guy's the future, and he's gonna go through this guy, and all of a sudden, then he was like, he got annihilated. And then I think Emmanuel Stewart was asked, "Do you think this title would be on the line if they knew how good this other guy was?" He said, "Probably not." At least he's honest. So yeah, the guy you've lost to was Dmitry Pirog.
Oh.
He was like a very elusive middleweight, a bit like stand-up European style, but mixed in with a Mayweather sort of shoulder roll. So yeah, so
I wonder,
they're generally going to bring in a fight which will test probably Anderson, and then hopefully Anderson gets a win.
Yeah, I hope we get to see it, because sometimes fights lower in the card don't make it to the box or to the actual pay-per-view stream, and I'm wondering. But he's made a bit of a name of himself in, I think he's in Tyson Fury's camp sparring partner, isn't he?
Yeah.
So we should be able to at least watch that one, because I don't think they're going to show us the Julian Williams fight.
Julian Williams fight, right? That's PBC.
Yeah, but he's on the card, isn't he? I don't think he's going to... Yeah, of course it is his PBC's promotion. I don't think we're going to see that fight, which I'll be okay with, because the fights I'm in for is I want to see all 4 heavyweight fights.
Yeah. But then again, they should show all the fights. If you're paying pay-per-view, we want to see them all.
They don't, though, do they, sometimes?
You guys
don't know.
Well, you know the best coverage I've seen before is some of the Russian feeds. They just put all the fights on. There's no like talking nonsense in between fights and interviewing people. They just show it all. I think that's the best way to go, because imagine now if Julian Williams had the fight of the night, they didn't show it. You know, it's like, well, come on.
Yeah. You can see why they wouldn't show it. They know that a fight of this magnitude, it pulls in a lot of casuals, and casuals like studio talk and build up and interviews, don't they? So we're gonna get a lot of that this Saturday.
There's only so much of that you can take in.
Yeah,
especially 4 a.m. in the morning. That's the thing. They don't think about foreign people watching abroad. When you're that tired, you don't want to hear chit chat. You just want to see the action.
Well, that's the problem I got, is you work all the hours as well. So how do you recover from a Saturday night Vegas card and then go straight back into work on Monday, where you've technically been robbed of a night's sleep, haven't you?
Yeah. So after may actually book a day off, I think could be a good idea.
Because you haven't told me I can watch it yet. Because we're saving, because we got a new house, so we're saving for all our stuff. I went up to her today and said, "Oh, can I have the Tyson Fury fight?" Because any decisions like that, we both ask each other, and not impact. I didn't get an answer of all the weird things. I walked away.
40 years ago, a man wouldn't ask a woman for her opinion.
No, he just take his belt off, just for the threat, and then. So you got obviously the Julian Williams fight. I want to see the Jared Anderson because what I've seen on him on YouTube, I think 2 to 3 years from now, he's going to make a lot of money either way. He's going to. I'm not going to say he's going to be a heavyweight champion, but he's going to be involved in pay-per-view fights.
Yeah.
And I think that's exciting. Now, I don't know much about this super middleweight. I think I don't. But Edgar Berlanga, he's not that.
Yeah, I've seen him, quite a few fights now. And most obviously one-round KOs. But his last fight was a...
Right.
Last
That's
fight was
the guy, yeah.
points when he went the distance. Against a decent fighter as well, Desmond Nicholson. So...
He seems to be having another step up in opponents. Now the guy he's fighting, Marcelo Esteban Coceres.
Yeah, I've seen him quite a few times on Argentina TYC Sports, I think.
Now that's a good fight because we've got this knockout artist. He's either going to be exposed or he's going to carry on his knockout run. Pick back up on that. That's
also this guy lost to Billy Joe Saunders, lost KO11, didn't he? Saunders not a puncher really.
Oh wow! This is my favorite type of fight, the one-round mismatch.
No, it could go either way. Obviously, you're gonna pick Berlanga, but I don't think he's a mag. He went 11 rounds. I think he's gonna be there for a few rounds.
Still exciting.
Yeah.
I think I viewed you say about Rabizi Ramirez.
Yeah, he lost his first pro fight. Stupid, really, over 4 rounds. Should have had an 8-round fight or 6-rounder. He's fighting Orlando Gonzalez Ruiz, 17-0, undefeated. Should be a good match.
Is that a solid record or a padded record for Ruiz?
You know, I'm not sure.
Oh, so that most of his fights.
Facially, he looks a bit like Chris Eubank Jr. This guy. Same sort of.
And then after that fight, you got what I think is the best heavyweight matchup I've seen in years. Not because of just the balls of F.A. Jagba and Frank Sanchez. I do not know why this fight is happening. They could both comfortably get to where they go in without ever meeting each other.
Yeah.
And yet this fight is happening. Frank Sanchez, of course, is a Cuban. He's part of the Canelo sort of fight camp. And a Jagba, for those who don't really know him, there was a video going around about a year and a half ago about a fight that quit him before the bell even rung. That was a Jagba. He won, and he's shown great promise. I think Jagba has shown everything you expect.
But he has a couple of points wins of people maybe should have stopped, like Jonathan Rice. Oh, didn't Jonathan Rice have a good upset win a few weeks back?
Yeah,
was that the guy who beat? Yeah, that's the guy who beat Michael Plate Coffee when he won TKO 5. So that's a good result, really.
Yeah,
and I think that back. It's a good result.
Yeah, it won't be too hard on Jagba. He didn't pick the hype. He didn't force hype. He had a couple of good victories, and we also had to think too much of him. But he's still trying to learn, and he shows a good jab. He's quite fast, he needs to switch on a bit. So this is Frank Sanchez, like all these Cubans, he just seems like a wino in the prospect stage. I think this is. I have no idea who wins this. I think you'd have to pick Sanchez.
Yeah, I would probably pick Sanchez on a points win.
Yeah.
But you never know.
You don't. And this is because Jagba's got a lot of sort of things we haven't seen him do, but he looks like a beast. And when he opens up, he looks good.
Basically, this is going to be a coming out party for either guy, innit?
Yeah, it should be. But the problem is you're coming out into a scene that you can't be part of for at least 2 years.
Yeah, do you know what? Even if he decides to have 10 fights in 2 years and mop up the rest of the division, he still can't get a title shot.
No, it's just pointless. They could both be undefeated for another 2 years. They don't need to fight each other.
Yeah. And then you'll have, in the meantime, you'll have Anthony Joshua, Usyk 4 or 3, and Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder 4.
I just don't think a lot. See, the Jogba and Sanchez fight, a lot of like casual fans not seeing how big a fight this is.
No.
And I worry that should one of them blow the other one out, it's just going to be put down as a mismatch to the casual fans. This is a hell of a jump up for both of them. Ballsy
Yeah, this
jump
could
up.
be a two-way Ruiz. There's no guarantee that the guy who wins gets his title shot first, as we saw in the past.
Yeah, this is what we've been asking in the heavyweight division for ages. Why don't contenders fight each other? Prospects fight each other. We finally got it, and it's gone so far beneath the radar. This could be a Saturday night boxing main event on a cable channel on its own.
Yeah.
You could build this. You could, what's a Showbox? You could imagine them getting behind this and building this up, and this getting a lot of views. So very lucky. The chief support, or what I think the chief support is, Robert Helenius rematching against Adam Konaki. This is going to be crazy fight. This is going to be so stupid. It's going to be wild.
Yeah, and last time it was Helenius did a job on Konaki, didn't he? But Konaki didn't look great shapes. But I interviewed him this week. I thought he looks the same.
He never does he? He never does look in shape. I worry that this is a David Price moment for Konaki. He could get clobbered again, and then his ability to make money. He's never going to be a heavyweight champion, Konaki is, I don't think. But he's a money maker. He pulls in tickets.
Yeah, he's going to have a big revenge fight here to win this.
Yeah. I'm so excited. I'm not going to be just waiting for the main event. There's a couple of fights here that I'm really excited for. So that takes us
looked at Jared Anderson's opponent, Vladimir Tereskin. He's beaten an undefeated fighter in his previous fight. So obviously he's got a serious fighter. The guy he beat was Francisco Silvans, who was 23 now.
That's intriguing. That's even more intriguing now. So we look at the main event, Aid, and Tyson Fury is going to make a first defense of his WBC heavyweight title against former champion Deontay Wilder.
I've done a deep dive on history of this fight. Obviously looked at all the champions. So going back to John L. Sullivan, I think if you want to count it, some people are counting 43 lineal champions. I looked at the WBA belts, which started, I don't know, way back. There's something like, well, even if you say since Ali, there's probably about 30 odd, including all these, what do you call not interim belts, the regular belts. Well, WBC had something like, I think it's 20 odd, and WBO had, what do they have, 23, 22, and IBF a bit less. So all the fights I looked at was obviously the immediate returns. I discounted the ones with the points wins, like Holmes, Spinks, concentrating on obviously the success of the ones who got knocked out. I looked at Mike Weaver fighting Michael Dokes. He lost in the first round. Immediate rematch at a draw, which suggests because he got knocked out in the first round. I think it was the first round again in the second fight. Cost him the fight. But they quite evenly matched boxing wise. Then you had two box punchers going back for Floyd Patterson, Igmi Johansson. Both had similar sort of attributes. So you had the box puncher versus each other. There's never been a case where you've had a boxer versus puncher, and the boxers sparked the other guy out, and it's been a return match. This is the first. Like you could say Anthony Joshua with Ruiz.
Yeah.
But it's a no-brainer. All you had to do was stay on the outside. But the thing is, in the last couple of fights, Fury's proven himself to be better on the inside and the outside. That's going to be a difficult task for Deontay Wilder.
This is a confusing rivalry because the first fight, this reminds me. I was asking myself the other night, why am I so excited for this fight? Of all the fights happening this year, I'm more excited for this fight. And the recent Star Wars trilogy, the new one. I remember when I went to the first one, Force Awakens, I was nervous. I thought, is this going to be good? And then I was pleasantly surprised. So then, Revenge of the Jedi, I think it's Revenge. What was the second one called?
I've lost count.
The second one come in, and I was really excited for that one. And it was a completely different film to Force Awakens. I thought, okay, I enjoyed it, but I don't want to see any more. And that's what I was like after Fury Wilder 2. But then the hype has got me now. And they were three separate, different tonal type of films. And this is what this is. I'm picking Deontay Wilder to win on Saturday.
On what basis?
on the basis that we've seen two completely different fights in the first two fights. So we had fight number 1. Tyson Fury, that 12th round, he decided, shit, I know what the game plan is. This is why I'm going with Wilder. So Wilder didn't have to learn anything from the first fight because he thought, oh, I believe I knocked him out. I technically knocked him out. I put him down twice. I don't need to learn. I'll just get it done faster next time. So the second fight comes around. Tyson Fury's changed his approach, changed his training, changed his mentality, beats the shit out of him. So Tyson Fury feels like he's seen everything that Deontay Wilder's had to offer. But what he hasn't seen is a Deontay Wilder who's looked at his tools and thought, I need to upgrade. And because they're such widely different first two fights, I think we're going to see a Deontay Wilder. I'm not basing this on anything that I've noticed. I'm just hoping that he's got a championship spirit about him. He's gone back to the drawing board and he realizes if he can talk some power into the big right hands that he throws and knocks people out and the left hands, if he can aim them at the body with the same sort of furiousness, he could do something.
Possibly, yeah.
And we've been seeing clips of him working the body and working the jab.
But have you noticed though, you bring his foot upwards when he's throwing a body shot, which just that's not putting power into a shot then, is it?
Maybe they've put those videos out to...
Possibly.
You know, I'm picking a body shot as well. See, that's what I'm picking. I want Tyson Fury to win. I love Tyson Fury. I think the heavyweight division will do better with him as a champion.
I'm picking Fury on the basis of the boxer beats the puncher, the big guy beats the little guy, as it were. And the man who wins the first time wins more decisively in the rematch. Is the three sort of rules. So I'm going to just stick with that. But I also think Fury is obviously going to be improving as well. You only had 6 weeks with Sugar Hill last time. This time he's had a full year.
I would not be surprised to see if Tyson Fury is a bit more of a demolisher, and then my prediction goes right out the window because I'm basing this on Tyson Fury having not improved, isn't I?
Yeah, like Wilder's a puncher's chance, but I think even if Fury rolled off the couch and fought him the first time with a belly and all that, and you got dropped, if you couldn't beat the worst version of Fury, I'm going to say he doesn't beat the better version of Fury. So I'm going to stick with Tyson Fury within probably 6 rounds.
I think I'm leaning towards the idea that Fury has fought twice the worst version of the hype that got to his head. He just thought, I got dynamite in my hands, just got to detonate these.
Yeah, he could improve, yeah.
Yeah, so he might he might start learning how to, Malik Scott. Now, this is another thing that ruins my prediction. Malik Scott is formulating a game plan. This is the same Malik Scott whose game plan against Ortiz was to when he lost to Ortiz in 12 rounds?
Yeah, it's a bone.
It was disgraceful. So, and he kept going down, didn't he? I watched that because I was excited about Ortiz, and he'd land a blow and he'd go down, and I just
thought... The fundamental thing I'm looking as well. I know Wilder may have improved, but I don't think he's taking full responsibility for his loss. I think he's still in denial. He's still casting aspersions on like Glovegate and all these other things.
Isn't it?
He's got to look at himself, really. If he has acknowledged it within himself, he has got a chance, because that's the only way you're going to win, if you accept your defeat and move on.
And maybe he has. Maybe he just realized the election was stolen. It's much easier to sell the idea of you being... Because you couldn't sell this third fight if he didn't come up with these stories, because the truth was he got battered. Yeah. He got beat up. So come up with some sort of conspiracy, because it's obviously landing with some people, this conspiracy is, because there's people who believe it.
Yeah. There's a lot of people who believe it.
Here's a question I want to ask you then. What's the heavyweight landscape? So if I'm right and Wilder wins, what happens to the heavyweight division? Obviously a rematch. Dillian Whyte is going to get stiffed again, because if Tyson Fury wins, Dillian Whyte's fighting for the title next, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got to get a fight with Dillian Whyte. White's going to be the winner, the fighter for either guy. But then again, if Otto Whalen beats Whyte,
which I don't think, which I think he will.
So it's a tough one.
Is it better for what's best for boxing? A Tyson Fury win or a Wilder win?
Unfortunately, it's going to be probably, if you want to see a unified belt for one fight, it's going to have to be Fury versus Usyk. 'Cause I can't see Wilder's people wanting to go straight into a Usyk fight.
No, that's what I was thinking. I think this is a very important historical fight because the way that the future will split off. If Wilder has it, we could go through another 5 to 6 defenses that we're not excited about.
The thing is, I
Or
can't
hard.
believe that the people who haven't fought Wilder. It's like, it's quite annoying to see the scrubs he's fought and good fighters.
That's a good thing as well, because Wilder, if he comes out of this with a heavyweight title on Sunday, he's obviously going to be contracted to fight a 4th. And say he just pushed Fury behind him and he beats him twice. He's coming out to the likes of Joe Joyce's and all these other fighters that he won't have the same sort of title run as he did when he was champion. He'll have to fight some hard fights. So I don't know who. I'm just very excited. You got Anthony Joshua on the fringes. He'll always make a box office pay-per-view, even if he does lose to Usyk again. Against, I don't know what to make of this, because Tyson Fury, you always run the risk with Tyson Fury that he could do this on Saturday and then quit.
Yeah. Well, at least White gets a shot either way.
Yeah, but I'm thinking, I'm picking against the guy I like because I like Tyson Fury so much. I can't see how he can win because I always do that. So I'm thinking a Deontay Wilder body shot or knockout, but I think it'll be between rounds 3 and 7 that Tyson Fury gets surprised.
Then again, where in history have you seen a fight where the guy gets battered in 7 rounds and comes back to win the next one?
Humberto Gonzalez?
Yeah, but that was a competitive fight, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't a battering.
Gonzalez had the tools to throw box Carball as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, okay.
Ruiz. Yeah.
So who's got a hammer in? Yeah, Ruiz, Joshua, that win a battering.
You could say Gene Tunney fighting Harry Grebe.
I was going to say that.
He didn't get stopped. He'd beaten over 15 rounds, like if Jeff Lacey started beating and then come back.
I just don't think it's as black and white as that, because who would have seen a Tyson Fury victory the way he did in the second fight after the first performance?
I predicted like a 10-round stoppage where he grind his man down and then enough. But that was
if we can see that sort of like transformation in Tyson Fury, why can't we see that in Deontay Wilder? Why are we thinking this Olympic medalist is outside the realms of possibility? But he must have had a good core base of skills before he fell in love with his power.
Yeah, he should have had. Yeah.
So why couldn't this grown man, this intelligent man, who's been humbled, pull off an equally surprising sort of performance as Tyson Fury did in the second fight?
Yeah, the difference is you're coming off a psychological beating as well now. So you could say it might work in his favor though, as well.
It's going to be interesting. The first 30 seconds is going to be interesting. It's going to tell us if Deontay Wilder believes in himself at all. If Fury takes the center of the ring, tries pushing him back, I can't see.
Think, though, with Kronk Jim, Fury could be punching even better now?
Yeah, he definitely could. I made my prediction without looking at any possible improvements from Tyson Fury. When he messed up, because I don't think Sugar Hill would let him course through just take the easy way through the fight camp. So arguably Tyson Fury's going to demolish him again. I understand that. But I've always said I see 4 fights in this rivalry, and I think it would be amazing if Deontay Wilder won. Imagine how excited we'd all be for Fight 4. That'd be the most eagerly anticipated heavyweight boxing fight I've probably ever been part of.
Do you want to?
So that's it for this week, guys. We'll be back next week.
We'll do a quick pod for the other 2 cards or the weekend action. Ciao for now.
Ciao for now.
Thank you for listening to the Fight Faction Boxing Podcast. We will be back next week with more news from the world of boxing.